Hi, everyone. This is Kenneth Hover, and welcome to another guided meditation for the monthly empowerment subscription. Today, we're going to focus on resistance. And the cool thing about resistance, and I found this after working for a really long time with folks with really intense high needs and high intensity. So sometimes I literally would get, and this might sound intense, but I would literally work with folks who had killed people, have really intense charges, and the level of resistance that they had in their field was not only palpable, right? Like not only could you feel it, but there was no space to have any entry point. And so when we think about resistance, we're thinking about layers that are attempting to create safety. And if we can show up and honor these layers, oftentimes we'll find, or I have found, that they're just protecting something that's really precious, something that's really scared, something really vulnerable, often just something really new. And so, like I was just saying, oftentimes now when I'm facilitating myself or others, when resistance comes up, I do what I've found to be the most effective is to just be really, really gentle, to be really attentive to what that resistance is trying to protect. And again, I found that to be a really skillful tool. So the first thing we're going to do is, once again, we're going to tune into our group container. And this is the group container for this conversation. But let's imagine we could also collaborate with everyone in this moment in time who's focused on their personal growth, who's committed to being good, kind, generous. We can include in this container all of the people that really believe in us, and even the people that are really excited for our work. So sometimes in my container, there's the people I collaborate with, and then there's also just a bunch of cheerleaders in the background. Perfect. And next, we're gonna update this container, so we can let this container know that we're focusing today in particular on resistance. If anyone has insight, if anyone can kind of support, we're open to them. And let's invite any new guides that want to come in that can really turbocharge how we work with resistance. And this is resistance internally in our own system, but resistance in general. So resistance if we're trying to put a project out there, or collective resistance. Perfect. So now we're going to tune into our own personal aura and the resistance in our own field. And the ways to track resistance is often, though, it'll feel like tension in the body. It can feel like gripping or constriction. It can also just feel um, like this desire to push something away or to like guard around something. So let's just kind of tune in to see, is there any resistance in this moment in my body? And again, from the systems that I really value, um, they really speak to tension and resistance almost being like a part of life. And if you have a body, then there's going to be moments that there's tension. And some of that tension is actually really healthy, right? Like there's like a tension anytime we desire something. Right? So I want this thing, and there's a tension because I don't have it. And that's the very mechanism that propels us towards that which we want. And inversely, when there's something that we don't want, there's a tension that tries to create space with that which we don't want. So just see if we can see this resistance as like natural, normal. Perfect. And next, just like I said earlier, I think of all the times that my own resistance protected things that were precious in me. And imagining now our resistance and our tension as like a guardian. And it's waiting to make sure that we gain all of the skills, have learned all of the lessons before softening. See if we can go from allowing resistance to be neutral to even allowing resistance to be celebrated. And then let's imagine that we just really thank our resistance, really honor the times that it encouraged us to like go slower. Maybe it was encouraging us to be discerning. Just really acknowledging and speaking to the ways that resistance, because it's so committed to safety, it can really hold it down. It's something we can really trust to be there for us. And And as much as feels safe and good in this moment, let's start giving permission for resistance, for tension, for guarding. As much as wants to release in this moment, giving it permission to. And the other frame that I like to use is if there's any guarding or resistance, which I want to just evolve how it helps me. Imagine that we can inform those energies how they can better support us in creating safety. Examples of that sometimes is I'll have my resistance, I pay really close attention to the edges of my aura to make sure energies aren't coming in, which are which I'm not consciously choosing. It's like allowing them to double, triple check there. Other things I do with my resistance is I'll give it the job to like make sure that like, I'm not skipping any meals. I haven't like been emotionally inattentive to myself. So they'll give a shout out if my anger feels alone. And I worked with kids for a long time. I kind of think of it. I used to like have like 5 2-year-olds, and I would just have one of the 2-year-olds hold a paperclip, and the 2-year-old would be like, "I will never lose this paperclip." I would just make sure they knew it was important. So if it's appropriate, see if there's any roles or purposes or missions or requests that we can offer to our resistance to redirect those energies and give our resistance permission to evolve. The other two concepts that we're going to play with is giving our resistance space. So just imagine that any tension, gripping, gets permission to take up space in our aura. So giving it permission to get as big as it wants in our body. Giving permission if this energy wants to fill up. Maybe even like our whole room. As that energy takes up space, we're going to have earth energy come and really offer that softness that I was speaking of. And as that softness is offered to this resistance, just see what happens. And again, we're going to honor that. We're going to honor that resistance and just see what releases. And then I like to imagine that I throw like a graduation party, especially for the resistance that's evolving the role it serves in my field. And then especially if there's any like very guardian energies that are ready to release, and especially if it feels like a really conscious being, yeah, throw a really big party and celebration as I release them. So let's put a magnet in front of us and behind us to release energies into. Release any programs, any contracts, any energies that are stuck, blocked, heavy. Release those. We'll clear our grounding cord and bring up a brand new grounding cord. As this grounding cord comes up, we're going to really emphasize those really loving, really like supportive, and really powerful earth energies that can fill the spaces where we cleared other energies from. And then we're going to bring a sparkly golden orb. We'll use it to recall our authentic energies. These energies will get updated, empowered, enhanced, and beamed in from the bottom of our feet to the top of our head. And we'll use these authentic energies again to fill up all of the spaces where we cleared energies from. Okay. So we just evolved how we worked with resistance, like personal resistance, like in our body. And so for fun, we're gonna work with the the difference between how we work with that resistance and when it's a resistance that something has, let's say, towards what we're offering, or a resistance that's in a field that we're stepping into. And there's differences and similarities. So let's imagine that we can, while maintaining our personal aura, while maintaining the integrity of our group container, tune into the collective resistance that humanity is experiencing right now. And and for certain folks, notice that it instantly clicks into your body. And if that's the case, just kind of bring awareness to when we tune into collective resistance. It wants to, part of us wants to take it on. We're going to just say hello and ask that that energy stay outside of our aura. There you go. Good. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by applying all of those principles to this now bigger collective resistance. So let's start by bringing up a cord of energy from the earth. And I like to imagine that that earth energy like whispers to folks who are in resistance that like it's okay. It makes perfect sense to be scared, to be pissed, to be sad in this moment in time. Ain't nobody mad at you. And then let's imagine if we make a bubble around that resistance. And that bubble can fully contain it, can fully honor it, can fully hold it. Next, we're going to bring awareness to the fact that this collective resistance, not only is it normal, but it's providing an opportunity. And just giving folks permission to be supported and held in finding what that opportunity means for them. And we're being respectful, right? If people are like, man, F that opportunity, well, then let them say that. But with this extra support, it might be easier for folks to see it. And now we're gonna, with the support of this earth and universal energies, we're gonna imagine that this resistance, this moment in time, can be celebrated. It's already happening. Can we celebrate that there's this opportunity is worth our respect, our consideration, that it's meaningful nonetheless. Now let's start giving those energies space. And as that space increases, imagine that the gentleness, the love increases as well. And we start giving permission and support for however this resistance wants to transform, if it wants to dissolve, if it wants a new role. And then let's imagine that we throw that graduation party. And that graduation party is for the resistance that got healed and blessed, and also for the resistance that stayed the same, still worthy of our love and respect. But let's also celebrate the human beings and like their commitment to growth, their process, celebrating their tension, their healing. Again, the celebration is for those who stepped in and for those who didn't. It's hard being a people, yo. Not easy. Worthy of our respect, no matter what people be doing with it. There you go. And we're going to make these energies available. I like to imagine I place them outside of people's auras. And so they can take these energies in if they want to. They can keep them outside of their aura. Completely up to them. We're going to clear and dissolve that visualization And we're going to support our system. This was really big. So we're going to put put magnets outside of our aura again to release energies into. We're going to clear our grounding cord and bring up a brand new grounding cord. We're going to bring that sparkly golden orb and use it to recall authentic energies. I won't go into it in this meditation, but as a being, to be able to support the collective consciously is significant. So just allow from your whole identity spectrum to evolve. The way that I work with energy, this means evolving how your soul not only like relates to itself, but where it's at in its path, allowing that to be honored, allowing your essence to evolve how it relates to itself and where it's at in its path. And then allowing our own identity and self-concept to evolve. Allowing our reality and our belief structures to evolve and reset. And then let's imagine like we send out a spiritual text message to everybody we know, letting them know we won't mess around. And this is really big. So we're gonna bring all these big sparkly energies in to let it be really gently integrated. When you're ready, you can come back to this room, back to this conversation, and let me know what y'all think.